Hi, my name is Ron Timmermans. I'm one of the many hosts with the Florida Aviation Network. Thank you for joining us today. We're broadcasting live and in the clear from the Central Florida Aerospace Academy at the Sun and Fun campus. Yes, this is the 51st annual Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo here at Lakeland Linder International Airport, Lakeland, Florida. Thank you for joining us. So, Florida Aviation Network, you probably know of us. We're all about safety in aviation. And today's guest, or my guest this next hour, is certainly an advocate for safety, a specific aspect of safety, and that is safety in fueling our aircraft. Please help me welcome Mr. Keith Clark with the Phillips 66 Company. Keith, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So I know we've interviewed before, and this has been a profession-long something you've been interested in your whole professional career, and that is safety in fueling. One of the things you asked me to talk about is VFT. Now, I've heard of VFR as a pilot, VFR flying and visual flight rules, but VFT, tell me again what VFT stands for?
So VFT stands for Verify Fuel Type. And what we're trying to do is get pilots and FBOs to communicate the fuel type, the quantity, the tail number, to make sure that everybody's on the same page so we don't have an aircraft misfueling.
So misfueling would be putting avgas in a piston aircraft's fuel tanks.
Well, it's putting jet fuel into a piston aircraft.
Oh, what did I say?
You said avgas.
Yeah,
but
jet fuel into a piston aircraft.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, or putting avgas into a diesel compression engine that takes jet fuel. You know, the wrong quantity. You know, it's all about communication and talking to people. And too many people say top it off, which we call TIO, which is not a fuel order.
So TIO is top it off.
Top it off, fill it up. So what we're trying to do is get people to stop saying top it off and say 100 ROVAD, Jet A with FSII. Communicate what you need, and that way we get the right product.
So if I land at an airport and need to hurry up and get into the FBO for hydraulic reasons, I might just say to the line person, top it off.
Yep, we hear it all the time. I talk to FBOs all across America, and you know, they tell me, they always say top it off. And sometimes when we say, please verify fuel type, the pilot looks at us and says, what do you mean, you don't know what kind of fuel? And we're like, no, we want to hear it from you. You're the pilot in command.
Yeah.
You know, there's thousands of different airplanes, and we want to hear it from you so there's not a mistake on our watch.
So if I, as the pilot, say top it off, I'm putting a whole lot of faith and trust in that person that I've just met 30 seconds before to give me the right fuel.
Yeah, you're assuming that person knows. It's kind of like rolling the dice. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, indeed. And so the person that I've communicated with top it off may have been working there 10 or 20 years and know, or it may have been only working there a few months and not really sure.
Yeah, and what we see actually is, you know, we have new people that are in training and all, but we also have people that have been there 10, 15 years that have complacency. They get into, they know and they think they know, and then something changes, or they just not focused for a minute.
Yeah, indeed. And anyone can make mistakes. So we got a bit of background music here, so Keith, we're just going to have to talk a little bit louder for our audience today, if that's okay. Unexpected music that has joined us here. So maybe we could dance to the music if we have to. Fortunately, the music stopped and they don't have to verify or help watch us dance. So just so I make sure I understand, if I'm in a piston airplane and they misfuel me with jet fuel, what will likely happen on my takeoff?
So the aircraft engine is going to detonate, and it happened to Bob Hoover back on May 25th, 1978. There was a breakdown in communication and verification, and he made it to about 300 feet, and being the greatest pilot ever, he was able to land on the side of a hillside, and nobody got seriously injured, but it was a close call.
Yeah, and that was in his twin-engine airplane? He had jet fuel in.
Yep.
Yeah, a Shrike Commander. Yeah, and he was a far superior pilot to me, and so I would imagine if that happened to me, I wouldn't necessarily be quite so fortunate to land safely.
Yeah, a lot of people, when the engine quits or starts sputtering, they try to turn back, and when they turn back, they lose lift, and then they spiral out of control because of that
stall
gravity.
Spin, the classic stall spin accident. And what about if I'm in a jet airplane or turboprop, and they put in avgas?
So if it's a jet turbine engine, you can look at your pilot handbook, but the jet turbine engines can fly on avgas in emergency use, but they're not designed for that. But if you got a diamond diesel or diesel converted aircraft, and you put avgas into a diesel compression engine, it's going to do the same thing as putting jet fuel into a piston. It's like putting motor fuel into a diesel truck. It's not going to run, except we have gravity. Gravity's going to pull us out of the sky.
Yeah, gravity. It's more than just a good idea. It's the law, isn't it? Yeah, indeed. So either way, if you're in a piston airplane and get misfueled with jet fuel, or if you're in a jet airplane like a Diamond, or with a airplane with engine that requires jet fuel, if you're misfueled, you're going to run into trouble no matter what.
Yeah, it's a misfueling, and it's also not only the type, but it's the quantity. Breakdown in communication on which tanks. A lot of people say in tanks, outboard tanks, all these different things. We just got to have a good conversation, and what happens is people don't communicate anymore. Everybody's in a hurry.
Yeah. So here's a truth be told session. Many years ago, when I had less experience than I do now, but I'm still learning as a pilot, I pulled into an FBO and I asked him to top off the mains. And I think I said 100 low lead. I don't remember for sure, but I always will from now on after talking with you, Keith. But I didn't identify what were the main tanks, and this airplane had tip tanks on it. And to my surprise later on, the line person had filled the tip tanks, but not the mains. And I got in the airplane and I turned on the master and I saw the gauges come up, and that doesn't look right. So immediately I thought, the gauges are wrong. No, that doesn't happen just instantaneously. So I looked around, and finally I figured out what happened is that they filled the tips. So my mistake in not being specific as to which tanks to fill. The same thing could have happened with jet fuel versus avgas.
Right.
It pays, and it's important to be specific, to have that communication where you tell them what you want and make sure that they understand what you want.
In communication, and then before you sign that credit card receipt, make sure that it says avgas 100, Jet A. It's got the right quantity, because the ones we've looked into is the ticket said jet fuel. It was the wrong product. If they would have caught it before they ever took off, no problems would have happened. So that's the key, is to make sure we communicate. And two people working together is much better than one person assuming the other person knows what's going on.
Much more powerful indeed. So what if I discovered that I was accidentally misfueled with jet fuel in my piston airplane? What would the FBO
you'd have to talk to an A&P mechanic and find out the process of how to get the fuel out of there, clean the fuel tanks, and make sure. If the engine gets started, it's a whole nother animal. So the key is if that ever does happen, get an A&P mechanic involved to go through the correct procedure to get that fuel out of it, flush it out with the correct fuel before you ever take off. Just take the time, do it right, fix it.
So it's not just removing the fuel from the tank, because there might be some in an inside bladder.
Yeah, it depends, and that's why we say get involved as an A&P mechanic, because every aircraft is different. We want to make sure we've made a mistake. Let's make sure we fix it correctly. Take the time, do it right, because we don't want to find out at 300 feet on takeoff.
That would be very scary, as was the case with Mr. Hoover. Yeah. So you've got something here that says it takes 3. Can you show us this diagram and tell us what you mean by that?
So we created this little thing. It's called It Takes 3. It's a triangle. It's got pilot, FBO, and aircraft. And what we're trying to do is say it takes 3 communicating. The pilot and the FBO can talk. The aircraft does sign language because it's got placard on the wings. And we make sure that all 3 match. And if we can do that, we can prevent aircraft misfuelings if we just work together. So we've got these available at the Phillips 66 tent. We also have Save a Life stickers that you can get to put on your equipment. They're heart-shaped. And they go to preventmisfueling.com. All we're trying to do is get people to go out there and take the training. There's a lot of training available, not only for FBOs, but for pilots, and we can educate everybody.
So, Keith, you've been at Phillips for a good while now at their Bartlesville, Oklahoma headquarters. How many years?
Almost 43. August will be 43 years.
Almost 43 years. And as their senior aviation fuel quality control person, this has been your passion and your program to prevent misfueling.
Yeah, so I work on the fuel side, making sure that the FBOs know how to manage the fuel from the time they receive it till it gets into the aircraft. Phillips 66 makes the fuel, and we have processes and prices at the refinery and at the terminal and the carriers that get it there. So we got to make sure that if we make it, it's on spec, and it stays on spec all the way to the aircraft. About 6 years ago, we started this campaign called Save a Life, Verify Fuel Type after a tragic accident. And the question was asked is, what can we do different? What can we do? You know, we've done a lot of training at the FBOs, and that's where we came up with Save a Life, Verify Fuel Type. And since then, it's a safety program that we give it to the whole entire industry. Anybody can put these stickers on. We want people to communicate. We want people to learn how to do things safe, and that's the key.
That's great. That's great. So Phillips obviously has a passion for safety in flying, and has had for a number of years, and you've been kind of the stalwart person there. Were you in Dallas last week, Keith?
Yeah, I was at the S&D conference in Dallas, Texas.
And as I recall, you were surprised with what's called a Lifetime Achievement Award from Phillips 66 Aviation, but you weren't nominated from within. You were nominated by someone within industry.
Yeah, somebody inside the aviation industry, and the Reed Fuller from World Fuels, we work a lot with them, and they nominated me for a Lifetime Achievement Award for everything we do.
Yeah, well, let me specifically, Mr. Clark was honored for his dedication to advancing fuel safety practices, fostering a culture of continuous improvement, and setting a benchmark for fuel operational standards within the aviation industry, spearheading the safety initiative, including Save a Life, Verify Fuel Type, as you mentioned. What an honor. I am so pleased for you, and congratulations. That is quite the deal to
Thanks.
me, to see that your passion is taking hold and people are noticing and that you're making a difference.
And it's, you know, I go to Sun and Fun, I go to AirVenture, we talk to pilots, and, you know, every year more and more pilots come by and they say VFT, Verify Fuel Type, you know, and it's spreading. We're making an impact in the industry, and that's what's great. Young people, old people, it's a common thing to spread the message of safety, and that's what we want to do, is make sure that we do things safe, because we don't get second chances in aviation sometimes.
That's true. All too often, you're right. So Florida Aviation Network is all about safety in aviation, so your program, your passion for doing this, and the techniques that you're supporting and suggesting, absolutely part and parcel of what we're trying to get across the aviation community. Be safe, and if there's one thing that we can do that would add to safety, that is certainly Verify Fuel Type. And don't just roll the dice and say, top it off. You think you know what you're going to get, but you might get something else. And so it'd be best to have that communication beforehand. Discover it afterwards. Yeah, you can drain the tanks and flush them out and the like, but what a hassle that is. Doing it the first time, you're going to assure safety and the like. And I personally like to be there when the fuel person, the line person, fills my tanks. And I always look at the truck to see that it says 100 LL on it, and I will probably always do that. I'm kind of an A personality person. I like to be hands-on and the like. And of course, when I do self-fueling, I always choose the proper tank, of course, and the like. So far, I have not had a misfueling accident, but I'm vulnerable. I'm a human being, like all of us are, and I could someday just say, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to just tell them to top it off and then not communicate clearly to them. Or watch for it afterwards, look at the fuel slip and the like, making sure that I get what I wanted.
Yeah, when we look into, when there is a mistake made, we want to understand how we got to that mistake. It's not just fix the airplane, it's let's back up and connect the dots. We got a program called Connect the Dots, Get Out of the Box, which means go back and figure out how we ended up here. And not just say, oh, we can drain it and move on. We got there by a mistake.
Yeah.
And let's go back and learn. And then let's share that message with other people in the industry so they don't make the same mistake. A lot of people, when they make a mistake, they want to hide it and cover it up. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
The only way we get better is to talk, communicate, and learn from that mistake so we can prevent the next tragedy.
Indeed we do. And I imagine you and your efforts have prevented a lot of tragedy. There's probably no way to quantify that because they're safe, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But your influence on the aviation community, on the FBOs, have been amazing. And I'm sure you've had a big impact on all of us, and we're going to be safer at refueling than we ever have been before.
Yeah. And if we can all work together, it's just, you know, if I tell one person and he tells 10 people and they tell 100 people, we got 1,000 people telling the story. And that's what it takes, is to get out there and educate everybody. So That's what we do at AirVenture Incentive Fund. We're giving away T-shirts that says, Bob says, verify fuel type, save a life. We worked with the Bob Hoover Legacy Foundation to get permission, and we got this shirt, and it just says Bob says. And it's Bob Hoover. You know, Bob's been gone for a number of years now, but if Bob was still here, he'd be behind promoting safety, because he always did. He was a teacher, an educator. And if you go back, it was a mistake back in '78 with the aero thing. But one of the things we try is to educate and communicate, and that's the key.
Well, that's good. So there's somewhat new fuel making an entrance into the market, the G100 UL unleaded. And I don't know if your company is making that at all or not, but is there a problem with refueling that in a piston aircraft?
So there's 3 companies actually. Swift is making 100R, VP Racing is making a 100 product, GAMI is making a product. Those 3 products are not compatible with each other. They have chemicals. You know, a lot of people think they're unleaded fuels, but there are also chemicals in those products that could react with other chemicals, with Swift and GAMI or VP and all. So the key is going to be we got to work to make sure that you get the proper fuel. Currently we have 100 low lead. It goes anywhere. It's got an ASTM spec. But as we move and transition to this unleaded technology, there's going to be some new things. We don't have a history. We have a history of 100 low lead. We don't have a history with these new things. So we're going to have to learn. And there's that possibility that these products are not compatible with each other.
So you think we'll get that all sorted out by 2030, the so-called date where we have to be at unleaded fuel?
That's the target. We'll see.
Yeah.
But,
a lot of work to be done yet, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's just a lot of work, because if it was easy, it would have been done 50 years ago.
Indeed it would
And
have.
it's not easy.
Yeah.
So
maybe even more so, you and I as pilots and FBO staff need to make sure that we've got the proper fuel going into the airplane as intended. And as we transition to unleaded products in the next year or 2 or the next 5 years, that's going to be even more important, making sure that we have the fuel that has worked for that airplane, works under the STC for that airplane, and we don't have a misfueling accident.
And it's important that if you're going to handle these products, that you have the guidelines from the manufacturer. These products are not 100 LL. So if you have handling guidelines, they should be specific for Swift 100R or GAMI G100 UL. They should be those products, because you can't just say handle them just like 100 LL, because they're not 100 LL. So make sure you have the guidelines to guide you through and manage that product while you have it. And then the same for the pilot, you know, the longevity of the fuel and how it reacts to certain things.
Yeah. So, Keith, are you a gambler? A gambler?
Not really.
Why do you have a dice in your hand?
So we created this dice, and we say, don't roll the dice, communicate. On one side it says top it off. And what can happen when it says top it off?
There we go. Top it off.
Top it off. What can happen is you could pivot one way and it would say jet, or you could pivot it the other way and you could pick avgas. Hopefully they've taken VFT training and they're going to ask you, please verify fuel type, or top it off with what? You know, we want that conversation to happen. And so we made this thing up is don't roll the dice, communicate, and work together. So pilots, one thing I want to say is if somebody says, please verify fuel type, don't get mad at them. You got to thank them, because they're trying to save your life. You should give them a hug and say, hey, you know, they care enough. So just work together with the FBO and the pilot and the mechanic.
Just note what I rolled.
Avgas 100.
Avgas 100.
Yeah.
That's what I use in my Bonanza.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
So.
All right, so yeah, don't gamble with the proper type of fuel.
Right.
If you want to say top it off with 100 low lead.
Yeah, I would actually say 100 low lead, top it off.
Oh, okay,
because
that's
that way the product's out front. The first thing, you go on the same page, and they should say 100 low lead back, and we can communicate. If you can be there to watch it, great. Always verify that credit card receipt. Make sure it has the correct quantity, the correct type, and the right tanks on it. And that's the keys. Communication, verification. Slow down, takes the time to do it right.
VFT, verify fuel type.
Yeah. And if you go to Google now, you can get on AI, it's picking it up, and if you put in VFT, it'll actually say verified fuel type.
All right.
So we're making an impact, and we're going to make it just as famous as VFR and IFR.
Very good. And this should be at the heart of what we do.
Yep.
And also it's going to save a life, maybe yours. So Keith, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your many years of effort in promoting this program of verifying the fuel type and preventing mistakes and saving countless lives, I'm sure, through your efforts, and that of Phillips 66 as well. You work for a great company, and I'm so glad they honored you with the Lifetime Achievement Award. This is most significant for you and for your industry. About dang time they show you their appreciation, huh?
Yeah, they've been a great company, but remember, preventmisfueling.com, verifyfuel.com. Go take the training. We got webinars. Just Google the words Save a Life, Verify Fuel Type. We're going to make more videos. We're going to make more stories. We want to make this big, and we want everybody to know about it.
There's some homework for you. Go to the internet and Google in one of those that Keith mentioned.
Yep.
Learn some more and make sure that you verify fuel type, save a life. Keith, thanks again for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations on your significant award for your tremendous long career at Phillips and for all that you're doing for aviation safety. We're most appreciated.
Thanks.
For the Florida Aviation Network, I'm Ron Timmermans. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the last of the interviews for today, but we'll be back tomorrow, broadcasting live and in the clear from the Central Florida Aviation Academy. Please join us again tomorrow. Thank you.